Welcome into today's show. Boy, do we have a lot to cover. It seems these 24-hour news cycles are getting busier and busier each day. We learned yesterday that the alleged mastermind of the September 11th terrorist attack and two other terrorists who are currently being held on Guantanamo Bay, they're going to be spared. Their life will be spared due to a prosecution deal. Now, I'm not quite sure why prosecutors are even offering a deal to these terrorists who took almost 3,000 American lives, destroyed two iconic buildings in downtown Manhattan. Why we're even offering them a deal, I have no idea. We have all the details, though, of what the Biden-Harris administration is offering these terrorists. Also, Hamas's top political leader, Ismail Haniyeh, was assassinated during a visit to Iran. He was there for the inauguration of the Iranian new president and was strategically taken out by, we assume, Israel. They have not publicly accepted responsibility, but it is believed that Israel is responsible for this assassination. And in response, Iran's supreme leader ordered a strike on Israel to retaliate for the assassination of this terrorist. We'll jump into all these things, plus your phone calls, your text messages to the MyPillow text line, 1-800-655-MIKE, 1-800-655-6453. Let's first talk about the terrorist who is given credit for masterminding that horrible day on September the 11th in 2001. When we woke up that morning, and the first observation was that potentially a small aircraft had flown into one of the Twin Towers. Of course, soon after we learned that it was not a small aircraft, that it was an airliner, when just minutes later, the second airliner flew into the second tower of the World Trade Center. We knew then that we were under attack. We just didn't know by whom. And as the day unfolded, additional attacks happened that morning, and it changed the way you and I live today in a lot of different ways. So yesterday when I learned that the person and two of his accomplices who were primarily responsible for this horrific attack is being offered a plea deal, being offered rather than the death sentence. He's going to live out the rest of his life. We're going to provide him housing. We're going to feed him. We're going to offer him medical care. Why? Typically, these types of deals are given to someone who can help us, who can offer additional information, who potentially testifies against someone else. What can he do for us? And why would this conversation even be started? Why was he not put to death years ago? The terrorist suspects will be spared the death penalty as part of the plea agreement. The announcement was made by the Office of Military Commissions. It's known as the OMC. The convening authority for military commissions has entered into pretrial agreements with Khalid Mohammed, Walid Mohammed Mubarak, and Mustafa Ahmad Adam, three of the co-accused in the 9/11 case, according to the release that was given to the media yesterday by the OMC. The terror suspects will be spared the death penalty as part of the plea agreement. The letter obtained by the New York Post reads, in exchange for removal of the death penalty as a possible punishment, these three accused have agreed to plead guilty to all the charged offenses, including the murder of 2,976 people listed on the charge sheet. So they've agreed to plead guilty in exchange for this agreement. Again, I ask the question, what does that do for us? So they agree to plead guilty. We know they're guilty. Why do we need for them to plead guilty? Why are they not put to death? Why were they not put to death years ago? As you can imagine, families of many of the victims said they felt like they were gut punched yesterday when they too learned about this. They learned about it in the news just like I did. Danielle Delara, whose twin brother John Delara was one of the 23 NYPD police officers killed on the day of the attacks, said, "I'm very disappointed. We waited patiently for a long time. I wanted the death penalty. The government has failed us." And saying that the government has failed us is an understatement, because the Biden-Harris administration has totally failed the victims and the entire country. Because again, think about this. Think about how these three men changed our lives. Now, when we go to an airport to board an airplane, we have to go through a metal detector because of these three men. Our luggage has to be searched because of these three men. Quite often in some airports, they're body scanners that we have to walk through because of these three men. And we're concerned about whether or not they plead guilty? Am I missing something here? Help me out. I'd love to get your comments. Maybe I'm missing the point. Maybe I'm overlooking something in this. But is there any reason why we should have been negotiating a plea with these terrorists? 800-655-MIKE, 1-800-655-6453. Your phone calls are welcome. Will put you in queue. We'll talk as time permits. Your comments on the MyPillow text line are welcome as well. You can email me directly, joey@joeyhudson.com. Help me understand this. Why are we negotiating with three terrorists who we have in our custody, who have been sitting there for how many years now? Do you agree that they should have been put to death a long time ago? Hudson in for Mike today. 1-800-655-MIKE, 1-800-655-6453 is how you join today's conversation. Phone calls are welcome. Will put you in queue. We'll talk as time permits. Comments are welcome on the MyPillow text line. Retired police officer Jim Smith is the husband of Moira Smith, the only female police officer killed on 9/11. He said after learning that these three terrorists were being offered a plea deal that will eliminate the death sentence and will allow them to live the rest of their days in one of our prisons, said, "I feel like I was kicked in the you-know-what." He said the prosecution and families have waited 23 years to have our day in court to put on record what these animals did to our loved ones. They took that opportunity away from us. They committed the worst crime in the history of our country. They should receive the highest penalty. Retired police officer Kathy Vigiano is the wife of a NYPD detective who was killed as well. Says, "I'm angry and disappointed that enemy combatants who killed thousands of Americans in our homeland are now able to exploit the U.S. judicial system to their benefit, receiving support from American taxpayers for shelter, food, and health care for the rest of their lives." There's nothing about this deal that makes sense to me. Why, after 23 years, are we offering these three men a plea deal? Again, typically, and I'd love to hear, if you're an attorney or maybe a prosecutor, I'd love to hear from you. Am I not correct that in most cases a plea deal is offered to someone who can offer the courts something in return? Why was this ever even put on the table? Who is the Biden-Harris administration pandering to in this instance? Because I don't get any of it. Maybe you can help me figure that out. Let's go to the phones in Sun City, Arizona. Howard. Welcome, Howard. How are you?
I'm good. I'm disappointed. The terrorists should be go to court, plead guilty. We should put them on an airplane, send them back to the Seine River, which is a sewer, and drop them. They think they got off. They won't. We got to just do it and punish them. And all the drag queens that embarrass the Last Supper could watch. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, Howard. Appreciate your comment there. One line open, 1-800-655-6453 in Houston, Texas. Patricia. Welcome, Patricia. You're on the Mike Gallagher Show.
Hi. How are you doing?
Wonderful. Hope you are.
I am extremely disappointed in our backward country right now, and it's going to be 23 years in September, and I believe this is a huge injustice. I believe that those animals should have been executed the day after they were caught. We as a country do not need them to say, yes, I did it, when we know they did it.
Right.
But I also want to say this from a victim's perspective. Some victims need to hear the people say that they did it. Like, they find closure with that. They find closure knowing that the people that are serving time have said, yes, I'm guilty. I'm the one that did this.
Yeah.
Maybe that could be part of the deal. Maybe some of the victims. There's 3,000 victims. Not only 3,000 victims, all their families were affected.
Right.
There could be a victim's kid or daughter, grandkid that's saying, I want to hear them admit it. And that is good enough for them. Because, you got all those people that don't believe in the death penalty. If it was up to me, bring them to my front yard, and you already know.
Yeah.
This is not okay. And I also have another question for you, Hugh, and I don't know if you know the answer to this, but why wouldn't, there's been a lot of presidents. This is 23 years ago. Why wouldn't have other presidents dealt with this, number one? Number two, don't the Republicans hold the Supreme Court? Like, is the Supreme Court the highest court of them all? Could they not step in and overturn this? Or how does that work? Like, does somebody get to appeal this shaking of hands of saying you can live for free in our jails like a hotel? I don't get free healthcare. That's a good question, Patricia. I don't get 3 meals a day, but I want to know because I want to hold all these other presidents accountable.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's all good points, Patricia. Appreciate your phone call. I don't know if someone could potentially step in, petition the Supreme Court to intervene in this situation. I guess we'll see that unfold because there are a lot of people upset. And I understand what Patricia's saying about some victims just need closure and hearing them admit that I did this. I think we're probably well past that stage. The victims who were interviewed by various media sources yesterday, I didn't hear a single one say, I need to hear them agree that they're guilty. The ones that I heard were very disappointed that their life is not going to be taken like the original sentence called for, the death sentence. They were disappointed that they lost their loved one and these men are going to get to live. Mike is in Detroit. Welcome, Mike. You're on the Mike Gallagher Show.
Oh, yeah. Well, 2 blocks away from where I live, people were chanting death to America, death to Israel, and this is more pandering. This plea deal is more pandering to the Tlaib Omar constituency of the Democratic Party who are anti-Semitic, anti-American. These are constituencies of the Democratic Party in Minnesota and Michigan, and they're pandering to them, and that should tell you everything you need to know about this Democratic Party. And how dangerous these people are.
Yeah, you're right, Mike. And I just can't imagine, though, in an election year, why the Biden-Harris administration would allow this to happen. It makes no sense. These are bad people. These are bad men who killed a lot of Americans, and it was their idea to attack the World Trade Center and the other targets on that day. Continuing the Mike Gallagher Show, I'm Joey Hudson in for Mike today as he takes some much-needed vacation this week. Mike will be back on Monday. On the My Pillow text line, Mike in Erie, Pennsylvania writes, the plea deal was basically a pardon from this pro-crime administration. Texter says, what a joke, Joey. We're the laughingstock of the world. Any other country would have hanged them in the public square. We are doomed. Texter says, Joey, this deal is all on Biden's Department of Justice. this isn't right. My tax dollars are now paying for these terrorists. And you're right. Your comments are welcome on the MyPillow text line as well. Speaking of MyPillow, boy, does Mike Lindell have a great deal for you on his brand new and improved mattress topper. If you want to get the best night's sleep you have ever had, if you've been thinking about maybe buying a whole new mattress, then stop. Don't think about that anymore. Go to MyPillow.com or call 800-928-6034. Use promo code MikeG, and you can get the brand new improved. It has 14,000 comfort supports. Mike Lindell was talking with us about this at the RNC a couple of weeks ago, how he has taken some of the best qualities of other products and put into this mattress topper. You can get it for $69.98 when you use promo code MikeG. The queen size is only $99.98, and you're going to love this. You're going to love the sleep that you'll get from this MyPillow mattress topper. Call today, 800-928-6034. Use promo code MikeG, and you'll get the all-new My Mattress Topper as low as $69.98, queen size $99.98 as well. Don't delay. Order today. Back to the phones. Let's go to Sarasota, Florida. Robert standing by. Welcome, Robert. You're on the Mike Gallagher Show.
Hey, Joey. Thanks, man. Hey, I'd like to preface my call first by saying my respect, love, and prayers go out to anyone that lost a family or a friend in the 9/11 attacks. So respectfully, these animals that pulled this off, in their country and their religion, the way they were brought up as children, to die through suffering is martyrdom to them, and that's exactly what they want. So to put them in cages for the rest of their life is exactly what they don't want. So I understand the instant gratification of killing these individuals, but the second you kill them, it's over for the both of us. They have achieved the highest of honors in their religion, in their life, and to be put in cages like animals for the rest of their life, I know it's a hard thing to swallow, but to be honest, it's not the instant gratification of the offended. It's to understand the deepest punishment for the offender, and that's my take. Put them right where they belong.
Yeah. Well, but don't you think that should have been thought about years ago when they were first sentenced and they were given a sentence of death? Now to come back 23 years later and being offered a plea deal. Again, in most cases, a plea deal is given when they can give us something in return.
Well,
and I don't know that that's the case here.
I think as conservative as we know, in the next 100 days, there's going to be a tremendous amount of rib poking with pardons and bills and stuff. We've seen it. We understand what's going on.
Yeah.
I think it was a political rib poking against conservatives to do this. The timing is not a coincidence. So there's a lot of smart Americans out there that can figure this out. But to your comment, absolutely, they could have done that years ago, but this is political season, and we're going to see more of it in the next 100 days. It's anything to get under our skin, but I think we're stronger than that because we're smarter than that.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. This is what we're going to see over the final months of the Biden administration. Appreciate your phone call, Robert. Thanks for listening. 800-655-6453. Khalid Mohammed was known to the FBI as KSM and is said to be the one who proposed the idea of 9/11 to Osama bin Laden back in 1996. He was born in Pakistani, again played a key role in the planning. He was part of the training of some of the hijackers in both Pakistan and Afghanistan. He was captured in March of 2003, interrogated by the CIA, including he was waterboarded 183 times according to the DOJ, which attorneys argued constitutes torture and should render any testimony he gave inadmissible. Again, we're too soft on these people. We know what they did. We know his involvement. Why are we pandering to these terrorists? And I get it. I understand that we're in a political season. But why would Joe Biden want his legacy to be that he's allowing a terrorist like this to live. That's what I have a hard time wrapping my brain around. Your comments are welcome on the My Pillow text line, 800-655-6453. Mike is in Phoenix. Welcome, Mike.
Welcome. Hey, I have great respect for what the man said, Robert, before about that this is what they want. We have to be reasoned. But I want to tell you something. It goes beyond that now. We have over 2,700 friends that we need to stand up for that died there and their families.
Yes.
We need to put these guys to death. We need to put them to death right now. I don't care what they want or didn't want. We need to do it for these people that suffered, and we need to do it for this country that suffered as a nation. We've got to show people in this world now that we have a spine. We've laid down through more than one president since this has happened, and for some reason, which I'd really like to know why, we've laid down and have never brought it forward. I don't know if we're afraid to bring out facts when we kill them, but we need to kill them. And I'm not talking about execute. I'm saying we need to kill these people. We need to eliminate them from this earth and get rid of them right now.
Yeah.
That's what we owe these people, these families of these people that were killed. That's what we owe them.
Well, and the previous caller was talking about martyrdom, and I understand that. I get that argument, but I agree with you. A deterrent for these type things, I would think, would be to have these men out in a public square, and hey, let some of the victims' families who want to volunteer do it.
That's right. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Let's kill them and see what their martyrdom how it works out for them.
Yeah,
let
exactly.
them go into eternity and find out if that martyrdom was okay. But let's kill them now. Let's get rid of them.
Yeah, I agree, Mike. Appreciate your phone call. And one point too that we need to consider here. Yes, there were 2,976 victims officially named on that day, but think about all the other lives that we have lost since then. We've lost a lot of first responders to suicide because of the atrocities of that day, the things that they saw, witnessed, were part of. They just couldn't live anymore. They took their own lives. There's been a higher number of suicides among those who were serving as first responders that day. Think about the people who have died because of illness, because of things that they were exposed to as they were they were part of the recovery effort. Cancer and various things because of the asbestos exposure that they had while they were trying to dig people out of the rubble. There's so many more victims to that fateful day than just the 2,976 who were killed in those targets, whether it was the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, or the plane that went down in Pennsylvania. A lot more victims as a result of this. And like I said, they changed our life. They changed our way of life when it comes to travel. I'm reminded of 9/11 every time I go to an airport and I have to put my luggage on the belt to be scanned. I have to walk through the scanner myself. Sometimes, if I'm one of the lucky ones and have to step aside, individually searched, patted down. And that just annoys me every time that I have to do that. I understand why I have to do it. It's because of these three men who we have now said, okay, we're going to put aside your death penalty. You're going to be able to live. And by the way, we have a place that you can stay. We're going to feed you. We're going to take care of you for as long as you live. It is an atrocity for sure.